First Lady and former Jeffrey Epstein call girl Melania Trump is raging at her saggy-faced husband this morning over the one piece of legislation designed to become her legacy. Even worse, Trump seems powerless, or at least indifferent, to Melania's rage. Even if she threatens to withhold sex again, he will hardly notice. In case you needed some real fireworks this 4th of July, get comfortable and pour a tall one. You are in for a show this year. This explosive and kinda hilarious story coming up next on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show and happy 4th, my beautiful patriots. I'm David Reddish, once again reminding you to subscribe to our channel now. With this story, we begin with the U.S. Congress. Disaster that it is. In case you missed it, House Speaker Mike Johnson actually decided to send Congress home early this week rather than navigate Trump's own chaos in the chamber. Scripps has a bit of a recap.
A Republican revolt over President Trump's election overhaul bill has thrown Congress into a bit of chaos. Speaker Mike Johnson sent members home early Thursday after GOP hardliners effectively shut down the House floor, blocking votes on defense, spending, and veterans health care. Scripps News senior congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed joining me now live from our office in New York today. So, Nate, this is becoming a bit of a familiar move on Capitol Hill.
You know, Steph, I'm only a couple blocks away from the headquarters of Bravo. I think this could be a pretty good reality show to pitch, just given the amount of discord on Capitol Hill. It's kind of like watching an episode or a series, The Real House Husbands of Capitol Hill or Housewives. I mean, the whole thing is just crumbling apart. There's an ultra-conservative wing of the House Republican Conference that just cannot agree with House Speaker Mike Johnson, and in this case, President Donald Trump as well, about passing large pieces of legislation that are sometimes wanted by the president, wanted by the speaker, certainly wanted by the majority. Some of these pieces of legislation bipartisan, some party line. Still, this ultra-conservative wing of the House Republican Conference willing to derail all legislation until they get the passage of the Save America Act.
Dire, right? And make no mistake, my beautiful viewers, this kind of gridlock extends beyond just this story. It affects your wages, your cost of housing, and your health care. This is, after all, the Congress that did away with health care subsidies to pay for tax cuts to billionaires. And if you're on Medicare, don't think you're immune either. That's why I want to mention Chapter, the sponsor of today's episode. Even putting aside Trump's attacks on healthcare, if you are on Medicare, the system can be a nightmare to navigate. Chapter's independent Medicare advisors are the only ones that compare every plan nationwide and will help find the plan that is right for you. This is not a plan they're selling. It's a free service that does the comparing for you. And even better, on average, Medicare patients that use Chapter save $1,100 per year. So then, for free and unbiased Medicare help, dial 262-454-0219 or go to askchapter.org/Reddish to get started. Congressional gridlock is dangerous for all of us. Just ask First Strumpet Melania Trump. Though known as the most useless First Lady in history, so much so that she rarely even appears in public in support of her husband, she did have one policy initiative dear to her heart, the Fostering the Future Initiative, a new policy aiming to provide housing, education, and workforce training programs for eligible kids in the American foster care system. And now, apparently, that policy initiative has become a major point of friction between her and her husband. Take a look at this. The Daily Beast now reports that Melania is raging behind the scenes as the Fostering the Future bill has stalled amid all the congressional chaos. The bill already passed the House with, surprise, surprise, unanimous support. Adding to the urgency, Republican Congressman Jason Smith says that Melania privately met with a group of lawmakers, telling them she wanted the legislation on her husband's desk by mid-August. And despite the promising start with the House bill's passage, the Senate counterpart has totally gotten lost amid all the infighting. Remember, Trump has basically paralyzed the Congress with his demands to pass the SAVE Act and his refusal to sign any other bills, including the bipartisan housing bill, until SAVE's Voter Suppression Act passes. For the record, the SAVE Act does not have the votes in either chamber. Also complicating matters, Congress is due to go into recess on August 10th. Meaning if the Senate doesn't move the bill out of committee, debate, and pass it in the next few weeks, it will become another dead piece of legislation, or at the very least, lose most of the momentum behind it. So in other words, you see why Melania has reason to be angry with her husband. You know, besides his leaving trash everywhere, cheating on her, attacking women, forcing her into a life she didn't want, and all the other indignities suffered by the First Lady of the Night. In fairness to everyone involved, Trump did sign an executive order putting into effect elements of the Fostering the Future bill. But of course, as we all know, it does not feature all the elements of a House bill, such as budget allocation, nor does it codify them into law. It's also not clear at this point if that executive order has any kind of expiration date on it. On the other hand, Melania does suddenly have ample opportunity to raise awareness to the bill and press for its passage at the Freedom 250 concert this weekend. She will be doing her ping pong ball act, of course, and she could add a new number to her set list. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. It's more moving on a stripper pole, don't you think? This is the David Reddish Show.